Hi guys, first of all wanted to say huge thank you for showing all the love on that toasty video. I really didn't expect there to be so much love for such a simple recipe, so really excited today to bring a new recipe to the table. One again, a whole dear to my heart, obviously. But made this for Whitney a couple of weeks back when I asked her to be my girlfriend. So boys, if you need to seal the deal with your girl, this is the recipe to cook. And on that note, what we're going to be cooking. So today we're going to be cooking rigatoni bolognese. So yeah, different to spaghetti bolognese in that we're using a different type of pasta. So you got rigatoni. And for me, this pasta shape, it just really helps absorb and lock in all that flavor. Locked in. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to taking you through simple recipe again, but as I said, the flavors in this recipe are great, and I think the key is take your time with it. You want to enjoy the process. I'm going to be chopping up slowly. Take your time, sit down, watch and enjoy. And on that note, let's get into prepping our ingredients. So for any bolognese sauce, you're always going to have your red onion, your celery and your carrot. Those are the staple ingredients. But for me, anything I cook with, always garlic. If a recipe says 2 cloves, that's 10 to me. So always lots of garlic, especially when you're doing a sauce. It's going to cook down very nicely. Got some chillies as well, just to add a bit of heat to it. Again, I know it's not traditional, but I think that's why I love cooking. We all put our own spin on things. I expect you guys to do the same. So let's begin with just chopping up, prepping some of our veg. You can start with the onion. So with an onion, I think a technique that I like to do, whether it's right or wrong, is up to you. You just chop it straight down the middle, not like that, like so. And then chop off the end. And I'm going to try and be as clean as possible as I go. So as I said before, I know mums are on our cases to keep the kitchen tidy. So we've chopped it in half, we've chopped off the end of the onion, and now we're just going to peel the first layer off. And by keeping that end on here, it just makes it a lot more easier to chop the whole onion. And for this recipe, you only need one red onion as well. So it's simple ingredients, but once I start cooking and those flavors start molding together, you're really going to be in for a treat. Okay, so got your onion like this. You're now going to want to just do some thin slices like this across the onion, and you want to make them as close to one another as possible. Just for me, when I'm cutting my veg, I like it to be really thin. I think for me, I know a lot of people like that rustic kind of thicker or more rustic way of chopping the veg, but for me, I like it chopped very thinly and finely. So, and again guys, we're learning together. I am not a chef, as I say a lot, but I'm enjoying the process of learning how to cook more things. So once you've done those lines across the onion, then we're going to want to go across, just like that, and then slightly above again, the same. And as I said, by not chopping off that end, it holds everything in place so that you can very easily get your nicely finely chopped red onion. Like so. So the onions are done now guys, so I'm just going to literally put them to one side. So we've got everything in one corner. Now onto the celery. I think I might need some goggles. We're just going to literally chop off right at the end of the celery. And I actually learned this week. I've been watching TikToks on how to cut veg so that you guys don't get onto me. So hopefully I do an alright job. So you chop the ends off. You then want to cut it into smaller pieces, as so, like so. Then once you've chopped that, you want to then break it down even further. So cut them all in half, like this. And now we're going to want to create thin layers like so. Take your time with it. Make sure you've got a good sharp knife. Just like that. And then just to show you on this example here, so once you've got your celery like this, It's literally just about finely going across like this. Guys, I'm proud of myself. This is my first time attempting to cut a celery properly. Otherwise, I don't know what you would have seen before, but it's not too shabby. I'm happy with that. Cool. And then again, obviously for the same, we're gonna do that for 3 celery sticks. So this recipe would probably feed about 4 people. When I made this for Whit, I did maybe just cook a little bit too much, but you know what? Lunch and dinner for the next few days. Who knows, this might not be our favourite recipe anymore after eating the amount we did last week. But listen, as I said, flavours locked in. Once we've done that, just be careful not to take too much skin off as well. We want that flesh of that carrot. So once we've done that, put all of our rubbish to one side. And again, guys, as I said, there's no rush with prepping your ingredients. Once all of this is prepped, this dish is very, very simple to make. So it's really just about making sure you've got all the ingredients. They're chopped to the standard that you like them. Some people might like the veg cut a little bit thicker. For me, I like it to be really nice and finely chopped. I was even considering, once the sauce is cooked, blitzing everything, because some people like a really smooth sauce. But actually, I think for this dish, it needs that rustic element. It needs to have that texture from the veg, from the celery, from the onion. And by the time we've cooked all of this veg in that jus sauce, it will almost be a smooth consistency. So you'll be tasting all of those flavours from the veg, but actually the bittiness of it will definitely not be there. It'll be a nice smooth and consistent texture. Right, so carrots are now done. So we're now just gonna push those to the side as well. And now we're ready to start our sauce. So I'll just get this pan. As I said, this is a big recipe, probably serves about 4 people. I'm gonna be doing recipes, meal prep stuff. So this again is a really good one. You have this the next day, you heat it up and the flavors are even more intense. So it's a really good one for when you're working and you're busy. Pretty much serves you lunch for the full week or 3 days. So just going to turn the pan on, and then for this you are going to use a good amount of oil because we are cooking a lot. The extra virgin olive oil itself adds a lot of flavour to the recipe. So you're gonna do a decent amount. So you've got your oil in. Get that in. And then just let that get hot. You want it on a low to medium heat. And you're just going to be adding in your onions first. Normally you'd have your chopping board closer to the pan, but I'm just going to scoop them and drop that in. And the same for the little bit left here. Drop that in. And you're just going to want to cook that for about 1 to 2 minutes. Let that get golden. Just going to be adding a lot of veg in. So you want that to go nice. You don't want to cook it too much because there's a lot of stuff getting added, but at the same time, you want to cook it enough so you get that onion aroma. Onion really is the staple to pretty much every sauce. So you want to get that real strong smell. A lot of people would add their salt and their pepper now. I like to cook off the natural the veg itself for a little bit before adding the seasoning. As I said, each to their own, but that's what I like to do. So you can already see that the onion's starting to soften. So once it starts to soften, I'd maybe give this another minute. And again, guys, low and slow for this recipe. You don't want to be blitzing this. You don't want to be on a high heat. You want to enjoy it. Right, so now the onion's been cooking off for a few minutes, we're going to add our celery and our carrots. Hear that nice sizzle. And this is where we just really want the veg to cook off. A nicely fine cut veg. All that beautiful smell from the onion, the carrots and the celery, the base of the sauce are really coming through. So you're gonna want to cook this now for about 5 minutes to just allow the veg all to become soft, and that is really the base of the sauce. But once that's cooking, as I said, a couple extra ingredients that aren't traditional would be your chili and your garlic. So with the chili, I'm literally just going to chop off the ends and very, very, very finely. For me, I like to add the chili and the garlic into the sauce at the same time, just because if you add, some people like to add in the chili and the garlic at the start for that aroma, but I think that for me, sometimes it can cook too quickly and burn. As I said, the sauce is going to be cooking for a long time anyway, so adding it in at this stage really just ensures nothing's burnt. You're getting all of the flavors, all of those individual ingredients, whilst those veg are cooking down. And again, for the garlic, if you see a recipe that says add two cloves, triple it. That's my rule. So I'm going to do about, this is a portion for 5 people, I'm going to do about 4 cloves of garlic. And I've actually got a garlic crusher, which for me helps intensify the flavour, getting the garlic as crushed down as possible. So you're just going to chop the end off each side of the garlic, and the skin should just peel away like that. So once the skin's there, you've got your chili, you've got your garlic. Now, just going to give this a stir to make sure nothing's sticking. It'll be giving off its natural oils as well. So, as I said, low and slow. I'm going to crush this garlic in with the chili, like this. Probably whack 2 in. I find doing it in the garlic crusher really does intensify that flavour. I'm someone that likes to chop most things, but the garlic crusher for me is a real cool gadget. And make sure to scrape anything that's in the inside. Get all of that garlic. And then chop this all up. And then that chili and garlic, just want to combine together, like so. And then once you add this, the aroma that's going to be coming into your kitchen, divine. So I think the veg now is become quite soft. So I think this is why I now like to add the chili and garlic, so it doesn't stick to the pan. You get all of that aroma. And again, you just let that cook on a low heat for another couple of minutes. And definitely wash your hands after touching the chili, because you don't then want to be touching your eye and screaming in pain. I wish you guys could smell what I'm smelling right now, because it really does smell beautiful. As I said, cooking is about enjoying the process. So, in the spirit of that, I wouldn't tell you what the time is here in the UK because I might get judged, but cheers. Ooh, beautiful. So that garlic, that chili's cooked down, the veg is looking beautiful, it's nice and soft. So now we want to add about a little bit more, a little bit for me. Half a glass of red wine. Beautiful. And now what you want to do is keep stirring And you want all of that red wine, so you can turn up the heat just a tad. You want all of that red wine to absorb in that veg. So for this dish, not sure how traditional this is, but I feel like you need a fatty meat. You need something that is going to be able to let that fat kind of absorb in that nice jus that you're cooking. So we've got pork mince and we've got beef mince. And to be honest, this stage isn't needed. But for me, I like to really ground my meat. So literally there's no right way of doing this. I'm just literally going to get the meat and just intertwine it. Rather than using a spoon, when you kind of, it's similar to the veg. I like things to be nice and fine. This isn't a must-do step. Like, you could just quite easily add that to the pan as from the packet. I just quite like to mince it down because it is quite grainy, whereas this makes a nice smooth, makes sure that whole sauce, when it's done, you get the fattiness of the pork, the flavour from the beef. It's a very wholesome dish, this. For me personally, I much prefer a carbonara. My favourite dish is definitely, I love pasta. I love different types of pasta, but carbonara is definitely up there for me. Or seafood, I'm a big seafood person. So whereas Whit likes the classic spag bowl, I'm more of a seafood man myself. Which I'll definitely be showing as well, guys. So once that meat is nice and mixed up, just like that. We don't need to be too minced. And I'm just gonna literally, in one go, get all of that nice meat away. And then this is where, again, you wanna crush it down, you wanna mix it with that veg. You want it to brown. That's the key here, guys. You want this meat to now brown. You want to see some colour. Right, so for me, once you've added your meat, this is now where I want to start seasoning it before we're adding any more liquid to it. So now we're going to add some pepper for a bit of spice. Give that a little mix. As I said, we want this meat to brown, so I can actually afford to turn this up a little bit. And you'll see the natural juice of the meat come out of this. We want that to all be evaporated, so we want that to cook down. So whilst it's cooking down, I'm going to add some paprika. I'd probably say, in terms of the amount, 2 tablespoons, but I'm just going to freestyle that. So put some paprika on for some smokiness, and you can smell that straight away, that beautiful aroma. Now we're going to add 2 tablespoons of onion powder. Oregano for me really is the key of this recipe. I know, again, it breaks tradition, but it adds a real nice aroma and punch to the dish. And then that for now is enough, just to let it cook down. You want the heat to be medium to high here because you do need that to brown that mince. Make sure those juices are fully getting absorbed into the meat and the veg. So once the meat is browned off, you can see there's no pink meat left. You want there to be very, very little. If I scrape that, you can see there's no juice, which says to me it's time now to add my beef stock. So with the key with this beef stock is you want to add it gradually. You don't want to just pour this in. So I'm literally going to do just about half of this and just mix that in. Again, turn the heat up slightly so that you can see it bubbling away. You want that to be cooking in. And actually, we're going to add 1 more glass of red wine as well at this stage with the beef stock. And a key here is, guys, anytime you add wine to your dish, and this is really important, you have a sip. Perfect. And save a little bit for yourself. Cheers! And now, you don't want to touch it. This is really the foundations of this dish. You need this juice to be really, so we want this meat to almost look dry in a second. And this will take about 5 to 7 minutes, just to let that juice absorb into the meat, into that veg. So Whitney says to me that she can cook. And I do believe her, I haven't seen it. I remember coming into the island and saying, pasta mash. And she got very angry at me. But Whit definitely says to me a lot that she wants to cook for me. I think because I do love cooking so much, it's not that she hasn't done it because she hasn't wanted. I'm just someone that I love to cook, so I'm always cooking. But Whitney has definitely said to me that she wants to cook for me. In terms of what she cooked for me, oof, I don't know. She says that she does a good pasta. She can do some Nigerian food as well, which I'm very interested to learn more about. I think food as well, for me, I love learning new dishes. Again, this is one that's a bit of a classic. I love learning about new recipes, Nigerian food, bun and cheese, all these different things. But no, we'll have to see. I'll see when I next see what type of thing she'll cook for me. And what as well, I'd be interested to know, guys, in the comment section, what meal is your favorite meal in the day? Is it breakfast? Is it lunch? Is it dinner? Because for me, I'm not a sweet person. A lot of the recipes that I'm going to be putting out are savory, but if you guys were to say we want desserts, I'll be learning with you guys. We can do this together. I'll be learning different recipes, simple ones, hard ones. I know a lot of you gave me creds, actually more so for keeping my t-shirt crispy clean when I cooked this for Whitney last time. But the trick is low and slow, guys. I know a lot of you've got busy timetables. I understand it completely, but when you cook, make sure you've got enough time to do it in a timely manner. This recipe is about time. You want to have, I mean, ideally for me, when I cook this sauce, you want at least 3 hours, but I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to cook this down once we've added the tomato sauce for about 40 minutes. 40 minutes to an hour. The longer the better. But as I said, low and slow, it wins the race, you know? It's all about teaching each other. I don't like the thought of you guys thinking that I'm an expert here. As I've said before, I just love cooking. I love cooking. I love creating dishes where the flavors are just incredible, but more importantly, you enjoy it. Because if you don't enjoy it, then there's no point. But even more importantly than that, this is the dish that got me a girlfriend. So I needed to show you guys. If any of you man or girls are out there and you're like, I need something to seal the deal, Rigatoni Bolognese, that's all I'm saying. Right, so now guys, once the liquid is pretty much all evaporated, just before we add the remaining liquid of this ingredient, I'm just gonna add a tiny bit of garlic butter, just to stop it from sticking at the bottom and really create a creamy texture to the sauce. Just gonna mix that in. And straight away, you're gonna see the glossiness of that butter on that meat. Right guys, so now the beef stock has reduced and it's really absorbed in that meat and that veg. We're gonna add the remaining liquid to this sauce and low and slow, let the remaining of the dish. Here we have just tomato passata. We could use plum tomato, baby plum tomatoes from the can, just for the simpleness of this recipe. I think it's easy just to get some passata and add this in. And ordinarily here, I would add a bit of hot water, but because we've got beef stock left over, we can just use that instead. And I know it looks like a lot of water or a lot of liquid, but honestly, once that's all mixed in and cooked down is the really important part here. It will literally be, it won't look so saucy and liquidy, it will look just like a creamy, smooth, meaty veg sauce. And this is where we want to add our herbs. So, bay leaf. I'm going to add 3 of these. Oh, 4. And I'm also going to add some rosemary. Ordinarily, I would tie these together. Don't have any string, so more than fine just to put in a couple of those. Give it a mix. And as I said, guys, don't add any more seasoning at this point. You want this to cook for about, as I said, 40 minutes minimum. So this is the time you have a glass of wine, you put some music on, and you enjoy it. You sit down, you relax, and yeah, we'll come back in 40 minutes. Right guys, so when your jus is looking nice and thick, you see that the flavors are coming along nicely, you need to start thinking about putting your pasta in. So get the water boiling. Don't hold back on the salt. You want to make sure that your water's nice and salted like the sea. So nice big pinches of salt there. And as I said, this is for 4 people. So we're going to be using a whole pack, 500 grams of rigatoni. And I'm just going to add this in. And that's going to take about 13 minutes to cook. So whilst your pasta's cooking, you've got your nice jus cooking away so that everything's going to be ready at the same time. Right guys, so now the sauce has been cooking for a good amount of time. Now I'll try it to say, what does it need? Is it perfect or does it need a little bit of something? Really good, nice level of heat. Does need a tad more of salt, but also just a bit of sugar to break the acidity of those tomatoes as well. So I'm just going to add about a teaspoon of sugar, as well as a little bit of salt as well. And by adding that salt and the sugar, it's really going to balance all of those flavors together. We're almost there, guys. And then we're just gonna, with the basil, obviously wash it, but the trick is just really scrunch it up as tight as possible. Roll it almost like this. And just literally, and already I feel like I'm in Italy. And for me, it's really important, you don't need the stem, that you chop this as finely as possible. Because the finer you chop it, the stronger that aroma is. And I'd like to say the stronger the taste is, maybe that's placebo, but I always think the finer you chop things, the more flavour comes out. So once you've chopped up your basil, come over and just add that into your beautifully slow cooked sauce. Make sure you get every last bit of that basil. This is good. That nice stir. Again, you see how it's becoming thick again. So when the pasta's almost done, we're going to add a touch more of that pasta water just to help keep that creamy consistency without it being too thick. And keep moving your rigatoni pasta just so it doesn't stick together. So when your sauce is pretty much almost there, now's the time to be finding in the deep ocean of this sauce the bay leaves, the rosemary stalks, like so, and just putting that to the side. It's going to be very hot, so be careful, but as I said, keep it on a low heat, get all of that herb out. Right guys, now the pasta's almost done. You want to use that starch from the pasta just to get about half a mug's worth, just to keep that sauce not from being too thick. Give that a little stir. And again guys, everyone likes it different. Some people like it thick, some people like it thin, so adjust how much water you want to add depending on the consistency. Again, I think we can add another half, so a full mug again of that, and just let that cook slowly whilst the pasta finishes off. And identify any other bay leaves that might be in there. Yeah, perfect balance. Beautiful. So keep, as I say, keep stirring that pasta. Have a little feel of. I don't know any pasta tricks other than hot. Tasting it. I've got people laughing at me in the background. Let that cool down. But this is all part of the fun, guys. You can all see, I'm not a self-proclaimed chef, but you can also see that what I am creating is beautiful and easy. You can make this for your missus or your boyfriend, either or. Al dente. Pasta's almost done. Couple more minutes, I'd say. So whilst there is a couple more minutes, just make sure that the sauce, because the sauce is really done now, you just want it to be on the lowest heat possible. And I'm just going to prep my final ingredient. So again, very not traditional here, but I like this for the creaminess and also the colour it brings as well, a nice orangey colour. So literally just a tablespoon of crème fraiche. Just a little bit more actually. And you're going to see how beautiful the colour of this sauce goes now when I mix this in. So it's going to go a lovely orangey colour. And again, just adding to that flavour. Look at that creaminess, guys. And like I say, there's still some more final ingredients. So I'm going to add the cheese. So I've got some mozzarella. We're just going to literally, I like to cut it into cubes. And to be honest, you only really want to add the mozzarella in when the sauce is completely done, because you don't want it to stick to the bottom. So I'm actually going to turn the heat off on the sauce because it's hot enough for the sauce, for the cheese still to melt without kind of sticking to the bottom. Turn the heat off. I'm going to now put the cheese in here. And because the sauce is so hot, it will just naturally absorb into the sauce. So our sauce is done, guys. We're now just waiting on the final part, which is just the pasta. Right, guys, so pasta's done. So we're literally just going to use the slotted spoon, turn the heat off, to just literally transfer it straight into our beautiful sauce. And if you don't have one of these, just drain it with a colander. Exact same principle. Just doing this for ease. Transfer all of that beautiful pasta into the sauce. Right, guys, so pasta's in. You hear that sound, you hear the creaminess of that. And you know what? We can actually afford to put it on just a very, very low heat, just to ensure that all of that water is absorbed. But you can already tell, I don't even need to try this to know that this is going to be beautiful. Good amount of meatiness. As I said, this will dish about four people, or if you're me, one. But you can already see the stringiness of the mozzarella. And that's why I add it in right at the end, because otherwise you don't really get the texture of the mozzarella. So it's really important that you add that right at the end. Now we're going to finish off with my staple, some chives. And this is the part I'm not good at, guys. So please, be kind in the comments. 1. What we don't want to see is any spillage around the bowl. Straight in the middle. Good amount of meat. Oh yeah. Couple more. Last one, just let that pasta drop. And now, just, you know me, I love my cheese. Not too much, just a little shaving on the top. And then, my favourite part, to really lock in those flavours, some chives. So there you have it, guys, rigatoni bolognese. Easy to make, easy to follow. I can see why this is Whit's favourite. And you know what, crisp shirt again, I'm on with a bang. Let's give it a taste test. That is beautiful. Just like my cooking. Tune in next time, guys. Thanks for watching.